So Wall Street and the stock market is selling off today as they've lost confidence in Donald Trump and the USA. That's the of today's show. And take a look at the markets. Pretty much everything's down and down big. Nvidia down like 5%, Tesla down 7%, Apple down 3%, Amazon about 4%. And we also have that trade war with China, as you guys know. These are some of the things that the White House is tweeting out. And this is an actual White House tweet. And yes, they are acting like 13-year-old kids over there. It says the 2025 White House Easter egg roll is lit, fire, dancing dude. And then they have like these pictures of Trump. Now, normally when you show these kind of pictures of Trump, you'd be trolling, but this is actually the White House official Twitter. On top of that, the White House is also tweeting out videos of Trump and Biden. Check this out.
You remember the bunny with Joe Biden? Remember? You remember when the bunny took Joe Biden out? He's not taking Trump out.
So we're tweeting about bunnies and Joe Biden. That's what, I mean, it's like Trump's got this weird obsession with Biden. I mean, there's some strange psychology behind that. I'll let you guys be the judge of that one. And then on the bottom of this tweet, again, this is official tweet from the White House. Breaking, the White House is no longer a nursing home. And you have like a party emoji. like it is funny. I'll be pretty frank. It is funny, but not funny in the sense of like, we're not laughing with you. We're laughing at you. But this is the official White House Twitter. It's insane. And so it's no wonder that the headlines come out today and on Monday in the market. Sell USA. Why Trump tariffs may be sparking a historic storm on Wall Street. Or something like this. Sell America. Investors are increasingly avoiding the US. Here's what it means for Australian markets, because the idea is European markets could benefit, Asian markets could benefit, the emerging markets, Australia, etc. However, the question is going to be, will the USA drag the world down? Right? If there's no confidence in U.S. markets, if there's no confidence in the U.S. president, will the USA drag everyone down? And we talked about in the last video how the USA is telling countries, get away from China, isolate China, and China's saying if you go with U.S. policy, we're going to retaliate on you, kind of thing. So it's a cold trade war, I guess you could call it. This is another headline: emerging markets assets rally boosted by Sell America trade. That's the language of today. The White House was retweeting about egg prices. It says wholesale egg prices down 56%. I'll be curious for those of you in the USA, what's it like at your grocery stores? Are you seeing supposedly a cut in egg prices by half? I'll just want to hear from the ground. Typically for this kind of stuff, don't necessarily believe what the White House says. Just what are you experiencing? Don't let them tell you what the price is. Tell me what it is from your experience at the store. This is also more headlines. Dow tumbles, dollar slides as Trump renews attack on the Fed, and then gold, I guess, is going up to crazy. So all those people who are, talking about gold, right, and the sky is falling, they might be right. And then you have this because a couple hours ago, the White House was tweeting about how, I guess, we're bringing religion back. And then Trump just goes on and on about he's the greatest for religion of all time, that kind of stuff. So if you want to listen to Trump say that, you know how he sounds like, we're the greatest, I'm the greatest for religion, and I'm going to bring it back. But the big worry today also is Trump going to try to fire the Fed? Listen to what Trump had to say a couple days ago about this.
Mr. President, on Jerome Powell, you said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave even if you ask him to.
Oh, he'll leave. If I ask him to, he'll be out of there. But I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Trump is suggesting that if he wants Jerome Powell out, he'll be out there really fast, believe me. And effectively, Trump's looking for scapegoats, right? As you guys know, Trump is raising tariffs, causing trade wars. There's a lot of uncertainty in the markets right now, and markets are largely based on belief that there's going to be growth in the future, and trust that the American system, if you want to invest in American markets, is transparent. The rules are there in place. People aren't just like, cheating and lying on a wide spread. The problem is that when Trump and Musk are in charge of the system, who are cheaters and liars on the widespread, it just basically destroys all trust and faith in the system. When asked about whether or not, how do you feel about being fired, et cetera, this is what Federal Chair Jerome Powell had to say about this.
I guess the other question is, to follow up on Victoria's question, do you believe the president has the power to fire or demote you, and has the Fed determined the legality of a president demoting at will any of the other governors with leadership positions?
Not permitted under the law.
Not what?
Not permitted under the law.
Thank you.
So Powell's pretty clear in there, not permitted under the law. And so, why are we even talking about firing the Fed at all? Again, Trump's looking for a scapegoat. He's like, the Fed needs to lower rates, start printing that money again. Let's get the things going. Because effectively, if there's a growth scare, right, then you're like, oh, well, let's just give everyone money. That'll solve everything. But then you got inflation problems, right? So that would be a thing to where, do we want to go in an era where we're going to be running around with wheelbarrows of cash? Is that what we're doing? They've been talking about this for a while. You can see the headlines from the Wall Street Journal a couple days ago. Trump has, for months, privately discussed firing Fed Chair Powell. So this has been under discussions. Can't even fire Powell. And this is where we may have a constitutional crisis, yet another one. It feels like this whole presidency of Trump is a constitutional crisis as he, looks to fire several employees and various, at various agencies. Musk has been a part of this also. And part of what makes the American system great is having independence from various, branches, agencies, checks and balances. He may be trying to fire the Fed. And this is what he tweeted out, the crazy stuff that he always does. I'll read a little bit so you get a sense. It says, preemptive cuts in interest rates are being called by many, many being Donald Trump, I think, with energy costs way down, food prices, including Biden's egg disaster, substantially lower, and most other things trending down. There is virtually no inflation. So that's according to Trump. He says there's no inflation. Trump also says no inflation. With these costs trending so nicely downward, just what I predicted they would do. There can almost be no inflation, he says that again, but there can be a slowing of the economy unless Mr. Too Late, he's referring to Federal Chair Jerome Powell, a major loser, lowers interest rates now, right? So he's getting angry at Federal Chair Jerome Powell, get that money flowing, lower the interest rates, make sure everyone's borrowing money again, I guess. Trump also says Europe has already lowered 7 times. Powell has always been too late, right? Or toe late, if you want to do it the way that Trump spells, except when it came to the election period, when he lowered in order to help sleepy Joe Biden, later Kamala get elected. How did that work out? So he's got this weird obsession with Biden and Kamala Harris, and he's always tweeting stuff like this. And again, this is like the president's White House.
You remember the bunny with Joe Biden? Remember?
Easter bunny
You remember
stuff.
when the bunny took Joe Biden out? He's not taking Trump out.
Yeah, you have to show that because it's like it's a good reminder of like this dude is insane. Like seriously, not like hyperbole here, but insane. And I guess you could also say hyperbolic insanity. But this is also what Federal Chair Jerome Powell had to say about being fired by the White House, that kind of stuff. It's good to listen to these things. Have a listen.
So our independence is a matter of law. Congress has, in our statute, we're not removable except for cause. We serve very long terms, seemingly endless terms. So we're protected in the law. So, Congress could change that law, but I don't think there's any danger of that. Fed independence has pretty broad support across both political parties and in both sides of the Hill. So I think that's not a problem. There's a Supreme Court case people will have read probably in today's Journal at which the Supreme Court may decide whether independent agencies generally whether their authorizing laws can contain a provision that prevents the president from firing members of a commission other than for cause.
So part of the constitutional crisis, again, is what kind of power does the president have? When is the president's power limited? Can we just fire anyone that we want? The argument that Powell's talking about is, the way you could fire someone is if you have probable cause, and there could be any number of reasons. Let's say, just for example, you have a Fed chair and the Fed chair passes away or gets in a big accident, or these kind of things. And so then, yes, you would definitely need to change someone there, or the Fed is doing something illegal, the Fed chair, just for example. So think about this, though, just talking out loud with you guys. What if the Trump people decide to just make up charges against Fed Powell, just make up stuff? Because they do that with the deportations, right? And you just don't know with these Trump people. They're unreliable, they're liars, they're inconsistent, and because there's so many factors at play. And the markets are just like, what am I doing now? Am I hanging my every financial decision based on what Trump in office, who complains about Biden all day, and during an Easter Bunny thing, we're supposed to be having fun? That's the guy we're dealing with. It's crazy. Federal Chair Jerome Powell, he plays it cool. I mean, you can see him talk, even though these are actually quite serious issues. We can listen a little bit more what he has to say about this.
And that's a case that people are talking about a lot. I don't think that decision will apply to the Fed, but I don't know. It's a situation that we're monitoring carefully. Generally speaking, Fed independence is very widely understood and supported in Washington, in Congress, where it really matters. And the point is, we can make our decisions, and we will only make our decisions based on our best thinking, based on our best analysis of the data about what is the way to achieve our dual mandate goals as we can to best serve the American people. That's
I think that's what you want, right? For any of these positions, it shouldn't be political. Just serve the American people. And this is the discussion just the last couple of days. Can Trump fire the Fed chair? So this is the defining cause. The Federal Reserve Act, as amended in 1935, says Fed governors can be removed by the president, quote, for cause. This isn't defined in the statute, but it has been interpreted in other cases as meaning, quote, inefficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance in office. So we may be setting precedent here on how we determine what causes of how and when you could fire someone. Already when Trump first came in with Musk, they're just firing everyone. Think how crazy it is. Like, if I fire, say, the head of the National, Labor Review Board, like the head of labor, the people who would normally manage or administer labor stuff, work stuff, and I'm firing the head of that agency. How do we even think about all the other stuff that's going on? There's multiple lawsuits on the table against Musk and Trump. But this is just one of many things going on. Another thing I want to bring up, it is with the trade war. This is one of Trump's people talking about essentially Trump was going to want to try to take credit for everything. You can listen into the language. So listen to what he has to say. This is Hassett here.
I got a readout from Jameson Greer yesterday, and it looks like we're north of 15 now of legitimate, serious offers on the table. The thing I could say you could look for is that when we think a deal's really, really close, then my expectation is the president's going to want to meet with that world leader here in the White House in order to close the deal.
Right. So what they're saying basically, and we already kind of knew this about Trump, but he just literally saying out loud, is whatever deals that they make supposedly with other countries, Trump's going to want a photo op at the end of said deal, right? A one-on-one meeting in the White House. And I told you guys this before. What's hold up with the China trade war is Trump wants to talk to Xi Jinping directly, like a one-on-one thing. And then China is like, no, you send, your representative, we'll send ours, but we're not talking to Trump. And again, Trump just basically just wants a photo op and try to take credit for this stuff. Whatever happens. And they even just say it there, that whatever deal to make, Trump wants that photo thing. On top of that, you have this is it says Wall Street slumps as Trump renews tirade against Fed's Powell. Forecasts are coming down in terms of growth. So this is the S&P 500 consensus expected earnings for growth 2025. And basically, just we're expecting growth to come down. And you also have the Shiller PE ratio. I showed you guys this chart from time to time. You can track it for yourself, but basically, this is the market undervalued, overvalued, fairly valued, etc. This would indicate that we've been overvalued for a while. Basically, it's the price of stocks compared to how much companies earn, right? Because you want to justify, hey, I'm going to pay this much for a stock because companies make a lot of money. And if the ratio is out of whack, right, how much money you make compared to price of stock, then it'll show up here on the P ratio, and we're trading pretty high. And then you have this where no matter what the courts say, Trump is ignoring that. And so this, again, constitutional crisis with the deportation stuff, constitutional crisis with the Fed, you have slowing growth in the numbers, right? You have problems with trade war. There's just a lot of uncertainty out there. And so that's sort of why you just see people, you know what, I'm just hanging out in cash. I'm fine with cash. Or you have people saying, you know what, I'm going to go with emerging markets, et cetera. So, my advice is for this kind of stuff is just be careful out there. There's so much volatility on a day-to-day basis. My opinion is don't be over leveraged in this type of market, because you can get burned in a real hurry. As you can see just today, something like a Tesla's down 7% in one day, which is pretty significant. And I know it sounds boring if you take a fixed asset or something that's, paying like 3-4%. It sounds boring, but like you're not losing, you know what I mean? So that's why, like, say Warren Buffett is sitting on, a whole bunch of cash, waiting for, who knows when he's going to start deploying, all that cash. Could be 6 months from now, could be a year from now, something like that. It's really hard to say, to be perfectly frank, because one thing that is difficult with the markets is that when it does turn around, it'll shoot up quickly. It can happen. And so that's why you don't necessarily just put all your eggs in one basket anytime. You just decide and allocate the risk that makes sense for you. And if you have a long-term perspective, you're going to be fine. But yes, in the short term, just understand what's happening. It's extremely, extremely volatile. And we're basically basing on whatever stupid thing that the White House tweets out. That's sort of what it is right now. And then the rest of the world, and we'll just talk about, say, China, is just basically rejecting the USA. And that's why you have this thing called the Sell America trade. That's where we are today. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. I do appreciate your time, everyone. And I'll catch you on the next video.